Hi, welcome to my video on the review of find the equation given the roots. That's the equation of a quadratic. And as in all my reviews, the review can be treated as a quiz, and the score for this quiz would be 34. So let's start. There's again page 1 of 5. There's 4 more pages. So you can get blank pages and work out the questions and give yourself a mark if the question is right at the end of each question. So again, see the page, pause the video, work out the answers to see if you're going to get them right and give yourself a score. There we go. Find the equation as ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. A is greater than 0, no fractions or decimals. Given its roots. Use the reverse method. So the reverse method is let x equal each of the roots. So x is -4, x is 1. So -4 becomes a plus when you move it to the left. And a +1 becomes a -1 when you move it to the left. So if x plus 4 equals 0, or x minus 1 equals 0, then x plus 4 times x minus 1 equals 0. Because if the product is equal to 0, then one of them must be 0. And then we'll multiply this out by FOIL. X times x is x squared. X times -1, -1x. Plus 4 times x is plus 4x. And plus 4 times -1 is -4. And we add up the like terms. X is -1 and 4 is plus 3. So there's the quadratic equation that has the two roots of -4 and 1. And again, if you subbed each of these roots in here, you would get both sides balancing out. So if you have this equation, give yourself a mark. If you have the final equation, give yourself 2 marks. And we let x equals 3/4, or we let x equal -2/3, and we put it over 1. Because we have a fraction, cross multiply. 4x equals 3. So 4x minus 3 equals 0. Cross multiply. X times 3 is 3x. 1 times -2 is -2. So 3x plus 2 equals 0. And that means their products are equal to 0. And again, we do the FOIL on the two binomials. So 4x times 3x is 12x squared. 4x times 2 is 8x. -3 times 3x is -9x. -3 times 2 is -6 equals 0. Add up the like terms. So -8 minus 9 is -1x, which is -x. The 1 is understood. And that's the quadratic equation that has those two roots. Number 3, we have a 4i. So they're in conjugate pairs, so we have a -4i, imaginary numbers. So we let x equal 4i, or we let x equal -4i. So x minus 4i equals 0, or x plus 4i equals 0. So x minus 4i times x plus 4i equals 0. And again, we multiply by FOIL. X times x is x squared. Outside, x times 4i is 4ix. And -4i times x is -4ix. And a -4i times a +4i is a -16i squared equals 0. The middle terms cancel out. They're plus and minus. We get x squared. And a -16i squared is -1. So that's a plus 16 equals 0. So that's the quadratic equation. And notice that the b is 0. There's no x in here because they cancel out. And there's 3 marks. Again, back here, if you have this equation, you take a mark. If you have the final equation, you have another mark. 3 marks here, 1 for the conjugate, 1 for this equation, and 1 for the multiplication 3 altogether. Number 4, 2 plus root 6. The conjugate is 2 minus root 6. They come in conjugate pairs. So the best way to do the conjugate binomials now is to go x is equal to 2 plus or minus root 6. Put them together. Then move the 2 over, make it a minus, plus or minus root 6. And when you get that done, square both sides. So we get x minus 2 times x minus 2 by FOIL. Negative and a positive squared is a positive. Root 6 squared is root 6 times root 6 is 6. We do the FOIL first, outside, inside, last. First, x times x, outside negative 2x, inside negative 2x. Last is plus 4. We add them up. Negative 2x, negative 2x, negative 4x plus 4 equals 6. And then we bring the 6 over, make it a minus. So the equation becomes x squared minus 4x minus 2 equals 0. And again, 1 mark for the conjugate, 1 mark for getting this equation, or should I say 1 mark for getting this equation, and then 1 mark for this answer, so 3 altogether. Total up your page, and hopefully everything is going well. Hopefully everything is going okay. Number 5, find the equation given the roots, and we have a negative 3 minus 2i, so its conjugate is negative 3 plus 2i. And again, when we have conjugate binomials, put them together as negative 3 plus or minus 2i is the faster way to do it. Then move the negative 3 over to make it a plus 3. And we square both sides. So this is x plus 3 times x plus 3. A negative and positive squared is a positive. 2 times 2 is 4. I times I is I squared. And we FOIL this. X times x, x squared. X times 3, 3x. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times 3 is 9 equals. And 4, I squared is negative 1. So that becomes negative 4. So this is x plus 6, x squared plus 6x plus 9 plus 4 equals 0. So the equation is x squared plus 6x plus 13 equals 0. And notice we have 1 for the conjugate. We have 1 if we have this equation right here. And let's see where we want. We got the equation started. So we can go for this equation right here and 1 for that one. 3 marks altogether. This is your final equation. X squared plus 6x plus 13 equals 0. Find the sum of the roots of each. So the sum of the roots, when we do sum of the roots can be found easily by negative b over a. Now, if you found the roots and added them up, you still get the same answer. But the quickest way just for the sum of the roots is when you have this equation is negative b over 2a. So a is 1, b is negative 4, c is negative 5. So the sum of the roots is negative b over c. So it's b is negative 4, so it's the negative of a negative 4 over, I said negative b over a, and I wrote down a c. And a is 1. So negative up, and the negative of a negative is positive. 4 over 1 or 4. So the sum of the roots is 4. Give yourself a mark. And again, in this equation, ax squared plus bx plus c, a is 3, b is 6, c is 1. And the sum of the roots is negative b over a. And b is 6, so it's the negative of 6 over a is 3. So that's negative 6 over 3, which is negative 2. So the sum of the roots is negative 2. Notice negative b over 2a, or sorry, negative b over a is for the sum of the roots when you have ax squared plus bx plus c. Give yourself a mark if you have a negative 2 for the sum of the root. And again, you could find the two roots by quadratic formula or whatever you want, whatever way you want to work it out. Quadratic formula is the easiest. You can try to factor, but quadratic formula always works. But why find the roots and then add them up? Why don't we just do negative b over a? And it always is a shortcut. Find the value of a, b, and c, and ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 if the sum of the roots is. So if the sum of the roots is negative 4, the sum of the roots is negative b over a. So therefore, negative b over a is going to equal negative 4. And a negative 4 can be put over 1. So we got negative b equals negative 4. We got a equals 1. We multiply the equation by negative 1. We get a b equals 4. So a is 1, b is 4. So if you have this equation right here, you give yourself a mark. If you have, or if you have each of these right, give yourself a mark, either or. You get 4 and 1, give yourself 2 marks. Number 2, if the sum of the roots is 7 over 3, so the sum of the roots is given as 7 over 3, then the sum of the roots is negative b over a. So negative b over a is 7 over 3. Negative b equals 7. A equals 2. Multiply by negative 1. Negative 1 times negative b is b. Negative 1 times 7 is negative 7. So again, 2 marks. If you got a to be 1, sorry, a to be 2, and b to be negative 7, give yourself 2 marks. Total up the page and see how well you're doing. Hopefully everything is great. 9 on that page. Now, let's continue. Find the product of the roots. Now, the product of the roots can be found when you have c over a. If you have the equation in, if the equation is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, then the product of the roots is the c over the a. A is 2, b is negative 3, c is negative 8. So the product is c over a, and that's negative 8 over 2, which is negative 4. Now, if you want to go and work out the roots of these and multiply them together, go ahead. But the product of the roots, if the equation is in this form, can be found by c over a. Find the values of a and c in this equation if the product of the roots is negative 2 over 3. So the product is negative 2 over 3. So that means we know that I know, hopefully you do, the product is c over a. Therefore, c over a is equal to negative 2 over 3. So c is negative 2 and a is 3. And again, 2 marks if you have each of these correct. And since the product of the roots, you have to go this way. We don't know what the roots are, so we have to go with product of c over a if you know what the product is to get the a and the b. Find the values of a and c in this equation if one of the roots is 1 plus 2 root 3 by 2 different methods. So we're going to use 2 different methods. So one method that we're going to use is that if this, we're going to use it for both of them, we have to go and pick up its, 1 minus 2 root 3. If one root is 1 plus 2 root 3, then its conjugate is 1 minus 2 root 3. That means we have the reverse method. We'll let x equal 1 plus or minus 2 root 3. X minus 1 equals plus or minus 2 root 3. So again, we did the conjugate. We put them together as 1 plus or minus 2 root 3. Move the 1 over to make it a minus. We square both sides. And x minus 1 times x minus 1. Notice I'm doing the FOIL on this. I'm expanding it out. And a negative and a positive squared is a positive. 2 squared is 4. Root 3 times root 3 is 3. So that gives me a 12. And I do the FOIL on this. X times x, x squared. X times negative 1, negative x. Negative 1 times x, negative x. Negative 1 times negative 1 plus 1. So that gives me x squared minus 2x plus 1 minus 12 equals 0. So the equation is x squared minus 2x minus 11 equals 0. And that's working it out, the quadratic equation, by the reverse method. And again, if you got the conjugate, you get a mark. If you have this equation, you get a mark. If you have this equation, you get a mark, 3 marks altogether. And now we're going to work it out. This is working out by the reverse method. I'm going to work it out now by the sum and the product of the roots. So again, one root is 1 plus root 3, and the other one is 1 minus 2 root 3. So the sum of the roots would be to add them together. So I'm going to add them up. When I do, they cancel out and I get a 2. So the sum of the roots is 2. The sum of the roots is a negative b over a. That means that a negative b over a is equal to 2 over 1. The sum is 2. Sum is negative b over a, so they're equal to each other. Negative b over a equals 2 over 1. Negative b equals 2. A equals 1. So we multiply by negative 1. Negative 1 times negative b is b. Negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. So we have a and b. Now we need the c to get the equation. So we need to go and find the product of the roots. So the product of the roots is 1 plus 2 root 3 times 1 minus 2 root 3. And again, I'm doing the FOIL on this because most students remember the FOIL. Another fast way would be to square each of these and subtract them. Like a squared minus b squared. But let's do the FOIL. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times negative 2 root 3. 2 root 3 times 1, positive 2 root 3. And then positive 2 root 3 times the negative 2 root 3 is going to be a negative. So 2 root 3 times 2 root 3. 2 times 2 is 4. Root 3 times root 3 is 3. And 4 times 3 is 12. They cancel out, plus and minus, and they get a negative 11. So we have the product is a negative 11. So the product is c over a. Therefore, c over a is a negative 11 over 1. C is a negative 11, and a is 1. A is 1 right here. A is 1 here. Perfect. So the equation is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. A is 1. B is negative 2. C is a negative 11. And we have the same equation. So again, the conjugate, which we did up here, you give yourself a mark. If you did the, we got 3 marks. So let's see. A mark for each one, put it in. So if you got these 2, you get a mark. If you have this one, you get a mark. If you got the equation, you get a mark. 3 altogether adds up to 9. Okay, couple more to do. Find the equation as ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 by 2 different methods if negative 2 minus I is a root. That means a negative 2 plus I is a root. Therefore, if they're conjugates, so what happens? We'll get the sum of the 2 roots, negative 2 minus I, add on negative 2 plus I. And when you do, the imaginary parts cancel out because of the plus minus, and we get a negative 4. So the sum of the roots is a negative b over a. Negative b over a is negative 4 over 1. So negative b equals negative 4, and a equals 1, multiplied by negative 1. B equals 4. So a is 1 and b is 4. And now we have to find the product of the roots. The product is negative 2 minus I times negative 2 plus I. Negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. Negative 2 times 1, negative 2I. Negative I times negative 2 is a plus 2I. And a negative I times a positive I is a negative I squared. And they cancel out. And a negative I squared is the negative of a negative 1. I squared is negative 1. So that's 4 plus 1. I squared, again, is negative 1. The negative of negative 1 is plus 1. So we get a 5. So the product of the roots is C over A. Therefore, C over A is 5 over 1. So C is 5 and A is 1. And A is 1, perfect each time. So A is 1, so we get AX squared plus BX plus C. So A is 1, so we get X squared. B is 4. C is 5. And that's the quadratic equation. AX squared plus BX plus C. A is 1. There's the 1. B is 4. C is 5. And again, 3 marks. You get a mark for these two, and a mark for the 5, and a mark for, or a mark to get the 5 there, and a mark for the equation. So 1 mark, another mark for these two, and another mark here. 3 altogether. And let's work it out by method 2, sum and products. So again, negative 2 minus I is one root. Negative 2 plus I is the other root. They're conjugates. So the sum of the roots is negative 2 minus I. Oh, I'm supposed to do this by the reverse method. So that's the sum and product up there. So now I'll do the reverse method. I just lost it for a second. So the reverse method, sorry about that. So we have X, there's 2 of them. So we have negative 2 minus I, negative 2 plus I. Let's put them together and get negative 2 minus I, negative 2 plus I, negative 2 plus or minus I. Bring the 2 over, make it a plus. Square both sides. That gives us x plus 2, x plus 2. And we squared, we get a I squared. So it's x squared plus 2x plus 2x plus 4. I squared is negative 1. And that gives us x squared plus 4x minus plus 4 plus 1 equals 0. X squared, you add the 2 of these together, you get 4x. You bring the minus 1 over to make it a plus. So you get x squared plus 4x plus 5 equals 0. And I just realized that I reversed it. So this is down here, what I've done. This is the reverse method. And up here is the sum and the product. I was just going ahead with the sum and product, working it out. Everything is perfect, but I just reversed it. Sorry about that. Again, just a little flaw, one of those little flaws I make. And there's 3 marks for reversing it. So if we got the 2 conjugates, if we got this step, and you worked it out here, to here you got a mark. If you work the final answer, you got a mark. 3 marks altogether. 6 total on this page. And again, I apologize for mixing up the 2 methods. I know the difference, but it's just one of those errors. Total up your pages and put the mark out of 34. And divide your denominator into your numerator, convert it to decimal, move your decimal 2 places to the right. And hopefully everything worked out. Hopefully you got a good mark on finding equation when you're given the roots. And if you like my video, click the like button, click the subscribe button, click the notification bell. Visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com, to find more information about me, videos, and the content. And that's the content that's on my YouTube channel called Math Fully Explained. Thank you for viewing my video. And I apologize for that little error at the end. Bye-bye.